The smell of my father's office was a ghost. Old leather, earthy coffee beans, the scent of safety and childhood. But now the room was a tomb, cold and silent, the warmth gone with him forever after he left us.
My brother Liam stood behind the massive oak desk.
"There's only one will, Hannah," he said, flat and final, sliding a single document across the wood toward me, slowly. This was the old will, written in the dark fog after Mom died, leaving Liam everything behind me with nothing. "No, that's not right, Liam. Dad made a new one. He wanted fairness for both of us, always."
I remembered his pride, his firm jaw, promising I would always have a...
Inside, rage became resolve. He thought the game was over. He was wrong. It had just begun. The lawyer's office was all brass and dark wood, built to feel trustworthy, yet every surface reflected the moment everything broke.
Without a newer signature, the old will stood firm, legally binding, final, a sentence delivered without mercy.
In that moment, I lost everything. The house, the estate, my father's life reduced to paperwork. I remembered my father's tired smile. He said I deserved my share, that I was his rock. At the reading, Liam performed grief perfectly. Responsibility in his posture, pity in his borrowed glances. They whispered apologies, said it was unfair, said my father must have simply forgotten. I gave them one perfect tear, the broken sister, the defeated daughter, exactly what they expected. A week after the funeral, I came back to the house. My house, the place where my entire childhood still echoed. The key I'd carried since I was 16 didn't work anymore. I had to ring the bell. Liam answered the door, already wearing Dad's old cardigan. The sight twisted something deep in my stomach.
He said I was always welcome. The lie was so thick, I could almost taste it.
I asked about the attic, about my old wooden jewelry box Dad gave me when I turned 16.
His smile tightened. His eyes flicked upward. For just a second, I saw the truth. Dad hid the new will in that box, buried with my childhood treasures, where he thought it was safe. I wasn't the helpless sister anymore. I was planting seeds of fear in the soil of his guilt. I texted him late that night, told him I found Dad's old papers, said memories can be dangerous things. My revenge wasn't going to be loud or dramatic. It was slow, quiet, and designed to live inside his head. I became a ghost.
He called immediately, his voice tight, afraid. I paused, letting fear do the work for me.
I told him it was nothing, old tax returns, boring. I heard his relief. Another trap closed.
For his birthday, I gave him a photo, Dad and me smiling, and the attic door behind us. I reminded him I knew his secret. Guilt is fragile. I just tapped the glass, waiting. The weight of his crime began to bend him, and the confident brother I knew slowly started to fray. He started calling me late at night, his words slurred by whiskey and desperation. "You think you're so clever," he accused, insisting I had no proof, even as fear consumed him. I stayed silent, letting the emptiness on the line amplify his own paranoid thoughts.
He questioned friends and family about the will, pretending casual while revealing obsession.
The story shifted, and he was no longer responsible, only unstable and painfully greedy. I was winning inside his mind, not in court, and his mind was finally breaking. The annual Christmas party was always home, but this year it sat in Liam's house, tasting of irony for me. I walked the familiar path as lights twinkled, unchanged, while my stomach tightened. Inside, laughter roared, but it felt hollow, like everyone performing joy inside a house pretending to breathe together tonight alone. Liam stood centered, drinking hard, snapping at his wife, his body jerky, guilt and paranoia leaking everywhere for all to see. I moved calmly through the crowd and stopped by the stone fireplace, my father's place, silent and steady there watching. I watched him unravel as his eyes kept finding me, and each time I held them without emotion or mercy. I didn't glare or smile, just calm, knowing stillness. A living ghost haunted.
Christmas music and laughter played as walls closed in, trapping him alone inside his private hell tonight at home again.
Across the room, Liam stared at me, unblinking, as if the music had finally stripped away his last defenses.
I gave him a small, sad smile. Not victory.
He slammed his crystal glass onto the mantelpiece, and the room flinched into a sudden, terrifying silence.
All his false cheer vanished, revealing a raging, guilty man beneath, screaming at me for daring to know the truth.
I didn't move. I spoke calmly about Dad and how he wanted this house to be a home.
Then he shattered, collapsing in sobs, confessing to us all that the will was hidden in the jewelry box.
The truth escaped him in sobs, not through papers or lawyers, but torn violently from his guilt. The silence after Liam's confession was heavier than sound, a thick, suffocating blanket of shock pressing down on everyone in the room. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. They only stared at the man sobbing on the floor. He was a pitiful heap of broken pride, reduced to the wreckage of his own self-inflicted ruin. Then the whispers began, sharp and sibilant, like snakes uncoiling through the stunned crowd.
I saw it on their faces. Horror dawning, disgust rising, pity settling in.
Aunt Clara moved first, whispering his name with a disappointment that struck harder than any shouted accusation. Sarah stepped back from him, pale with revulsion, asking if he truly destroyed his father's will.
I stayed silent by the fireplace as they left. The truth hung heavy. The party was over.
The fallout was swift and brutal. The family that once defended him turned away without a word.
Phone calls went unanswered. Invitations vanished. He became a ghost, a warning whispered at gatherings I no longer attended.
Sarah left the following week, taking their young son with her, disappearing into someone else's safety.
Her email was short. She said she was sorry. She said she couldn't look at him the same way. I didn't reply. She was collateral damage in his war, another quiet casualty of my revenge.
Liam was left alone in the big, empty house, surrounded by silence and his own echoing mistakes.
His calls shifted from rage to pleading, slurred apologies begging me to make it stop. Panicked and exposed, Liam hired a ruthless lawyer who immediately tried to tear me apart. But the legal battle was only beginning when my father's lawyer called me, his voice heavy with grim certainty.
He told me plainly, what Liam did was a crime, fraud, and we could challenge the old will.
My brother's confession, witnessed by dozens of people, became the evidence that finally gave me leverage. When I met him again in that office, I wasn't defeated anymore. I felt strong. resolute.
We filed to set aside the will. This was no missing paper. It was proven theft.
They called me a manipulator.
A gold digger, accusing me of driving my brother to collapse.
I grieved for my father. My brother confessed to theft. Those are the facts. Truth was my shield.
The day of the probate hearing arrived, heavy with silence and colder than I expected. The courtroom felt formal and unforgiving, a place where warmth simply didn't exist. Liam looked smaller somehow, swallowed by a suit and the weight of his choices. Behind me, my family sat in quiet solidarity, living proof that truth had witnesses. Affidavits were presented, each one echoing the same confession he couldn't erase.
The judge was unmoved, naming his actions criminal, deliberate, and deeply unforgivable.
With no valid will remaining, the estate was ordered split equally between us. We didn't win with pape, but with truth, and half my life was finally restored. I felt my father with me then, not as pain anymore, but as comfort, telling me it was over. Walking out of the courthouse felt like stepping into a new world, where the sun finally felt warmer again.
Liam rushed past me, already whispering about appeals, but I didn't care anymore. He had nothing left.
I went back to the house, my house, using the key the court finally said was mine. The house felt lighter without his lies, just memories now, and I walked through it as its owner. A week later, I agreed to his offer, not for money, but for freedom, for both of us.
With the buyout money, I didn't just get an apartment. I bought a home, something permanent and finally mine.
A small, charming cottage across town, with a garden where I planted my own roses, in quiet sunlight alone.
It was entirely, unquestionably mine. No one could ever take it from me again, or threaten my peace.
I filled it with light and my things, a fresh start from old ashes.
Through the grapevine, I heard Liam was struggling after the buyout, taxes, and fees closing in fast.
His house, once victory, became a burden he couldn't afford alone. Trapped there, he lived in a prison of failure, and my revenge was perfect, quiet, patient, undeniable.
A year after the hearing, I ran into Sarah at the grocery store. She looked lighter, happier.
She smiled when she saw me, a real smile. And for the first time, I felt peace.
We spoke briefly about her son, about my new house. Ordinary words, heavy history.
She said I did what I had to do. He was a coward. He needed accountability.
What my father believed in, what truth demands. And somehow, she finally understood.
She told me he was selling the house. He couldn't live with it anymore.
I stood in my garden, hands buried deep in the soil. This was my legacy now. Not conflict and noise, but a home I chose and built.
The anger became a distant storm, already past, leaving the air quiet and clear. I thought of Liam sometimes, not with hate, but a distant sadness I couldn't erase. Revenge didn't bring him back. It only forced the truth to finally show its face.
The door to my past closed forever, locked by truth. I learned the best revenge wasn't winning, it was living and finally letting go.
The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, cold and sterile, pretending to be ordinary while quietly changing everything.
Property listing alert. 1814 Maple Drive, my childhood address striking like a fist straight through my chest.
I clicked the link with morbid dread, knowing some doors reopen only to haunt you. The virtual tour felt like walking through a ghost house, where everything familiar had been quietly erased. The creaking step was gone, the pencil marks erased, every memory smoothed into something harmless. Our history had been replaced with bland furniture, as if love itself lowered the resale value. The price was shockingly low. He was a motivated seller, desperate to escape what he'd stolen. He wasn't selling a house. He was paying ransom, trapped inside the guilt he built himself.
The final sale of the house did not bring the closure I had naively expected.
Instead, it ushered in a profound and unsettling silence I didn't know how to fill. For 2 years, my every waking moment was consumed by the war. My mind became a fortress, constantly on high alert, never allowed to rest. The battle ended. The enemy surrendered and retreated, leaving nothing behind.
I had my cottage, my job, my garden, yet I felt like a stranger.
I would jump when my phone vibrated, expecting another hostile message.
At night, I dreamed of victory, only to watch it crumble to dust.
I dreamed the judge gave him everything, his smile burned into memory. The fire of my rage kept me alive. Now I stand alone in cold ashes.
My salvation arrived quietly, not in drama, but in the steady presence of my father's oldest friend.
He found me at the library, his eyes seeing straight through the fragile calm I showed the world.
He spoke of my father, a man who sensed storms long before the wind ever dared to shift.
Then he placed the journal before me, telling me my father saved it for this moment.
That night, his voice rose from the pages, speaking to me from beyond the grave.
He wrote that power isn't owned or counted, but built with strong hands and heart.
He feared failing his son, but vowed he would never fail his daughter.
I wept, then held on, his belief a rope across time.
The journal did not heal me, but it gave me a blueprint for my own reconstruction.
My father never admired vengeance. He believed in my capacity to build an honest life.
It was time to start building again, not from anger, but from intention.
I began with the earth, nurturing life from seed to bloom with my own hands.
The physical act of creation became an antidote to the destruction I once lived in.
Among children's laughter, I rediscovered wonder in its purest, unfiltered form.
Slowly, the hard shell cracked, and I learned to trust without dissecting every motive.
From the ashes emerged a woman wiser, kinder, and forged into lasting resilience. A quiet Thursday breathed in light and dust, where time stood still and silence learned to trust. Then shadows stretched where comfort used to stay, and something lost came drifting down my way.
He wore the shape of who I knew before, a broken echo, nothing like him anymore.
No pride, no fire, just years pressed into skin, a man who'd lost the strength to even swim.
His eyes confessed what words could never say, a tired soul that finally gave way.
Between our breaths lay truth we couldn't flee, the cost of theft.
A shadow returns where silence lay, old wounds awaken, words find their way.
Steps tremble lightly on cold, worn ground. A heartbeat of guilt is the only sound.
The past hangs heavy, a spectral chain. Regret whispers softly, carry.
A gaze once hidden now dares to meet. The ache of wrongs feels raw and sweet. Hands that tremble, burdened and frail, carry the weight of a sorrowful tale.
Steps retreat to echoes of time, a rhythm of sorrow, a wordless rhyme. Sunlight stretches across the gray, illuminating the truths they must say.
Two shadows part as the morning breaks, a moment of sorrow.
His words hung heavy, silent in the hall, a lifetime of lies now crumbling to fall.
I dreamt of triumph, fierce and bright, but sorrow met me in the fading light.
The brother I sought to undo was lost, a stranger I barely knew. I see your sorrow, deep and true, but forgiveness is not mine to renew.
Your words are yours to bear and mend.
The trust we had is dust and gone. No
A flicker lingers in weary eyes, yet I hold my heart from their disguise.
Time will tell what hearts may bear, for now I stand.
He didn't argue, didn't plead. He simply let my words take seed.
He gave a nod, resigned, subdued, a ghost of loss, a quiet feud.
Then he turned, a figure small, steps echoed down the wooden hall. Through heavy doors he slipped from view.
The silence now was soft, profound, a peace that lingered all around.
A chapter closed, a door clicked shut. Life moved forward, untouched.
In the months that followed Liam's visit, my life began to bloom. New colors painting my world where once there was only gloom.
The cottage was no longer a refuge, but a heart that beat with joy, filled with laughter shared, not silence to destroy.
At the library, I built a haven, stories shared, hearts mended, a quiet space where broken souls were gently defended.
No longer bound by battles past, I claimed my calm, my peace at last.
I emerged transformed, not broken, with strength quiet, deep, alive. From earth once trampled, beauty grew, each seed a hope, each bloom a truth.
On my porch swing, with morning light, I cradle warmth in my hands, feeling
the roses I planted with care now bow to.
I think of my father, and his memory warms me.
He would love this life I've built, sturdy, honest, founded on respect, each day a proof of strength and care.
The valley of betrayal was harsh, yet it taught me that true strength is measured by the depth of my resilience.
The greatest revenge is quiet, each day building a life of purpose, peace, and joy that outshines any past harm.
My story is of light reclaimed, rising from the shadow of greed.
Now I stand whole, my spirit free.